History remembers heroes, but it often hides their darkest secrets. From legendary conquerors to celebrated leaders, many of the figures we admire today built their legacies on decisions that were ruthless, controversial, and sometimes brutally inhumane. Yet these uncomfortable truths are rarely discussed in classrooms or textbooks. In this video, we uncover the hidden side of history, revealing the dark truths behind some of the most famous figures the world has ever known. Because sometimes the real story is far more disturbing than the legend. Napoleon Bonaparte is often remembered as a brilliant military strategist and a symbol of ambition. Rising from modest beginnings, he crowned himself Emperor of France and reshaped Europe through a series of powerful campaigns. But beneath the image of a visionary leader lies a far darker reality. Napoleon's wars led to the deaths of millions across Europe. His relentless pursuit of dominance caused widespread destruction, devastating entire regions and leaving countless families shattered. While history often credits his tactical genius, it sometimes overlooks the human cost of his ambition. Even more troubling were his policies beyond the battlefield. Napoleon reinstated slavery in French colonies after it had been abolished, reversing progress and subjecting thousands to brutal conditions once again. This decision alone reshaped lives in ways history rarely emphasizes. His legacy, often polished and glorified, raises an important question. Was Napoleon a hero of progress or a man driven by power at any cost? Julius Caesar is widely seen as one of the greatest figures in Roman history, a leader whose name became synonymous with power itself. But Caesar's rise marked the beginning of the end for the Roman Republic. Through calculated political maneuvering and military strength, Caesar gained unprecedented control. His conquest of Gaul, often celebrated as a military triumph, resulted in the deaths of over 1 million people and the enslavement of many more. While Rome benefited from his victories, entire civilizations were crushed under his expansion. Back home, Caesar's growing authority alarmed many. By declaring himself dictator for life, he effectively dismantled the democratic foundations of the Republic. What followed was political instability, betrayal, and ultimately his assassination. Caesar didn't just change Rome, he set the stage for an empire built on absolute power. And in doing so, he blurred the line between leadership and domination. Christopher Columbus is often credited with discovering the Americas, a figure long celebrated for his role in shaping world history. But this narrative leaves out a devastating truth. When Columbus arrived in the Caribbean, he encountered thriving indigenous populations. What followed was not peaceful exploration, but exploitation. Native communities were subjected to forced labor, violence, and unimaginable cruelty under his rule. Historical records describe harsh punishments, including mutilation for those who failed to meet demands for gold. Entire populations were decimated within decades due to brutality, disease, and systemic oppression. While Columbus is still remembered in many places as an explorer, his actions contributed to one of the most tragic chapters in human history. This raises a difficult but necessary question. Should discovery be celebrated when it comes at such a devastating cost? Queen Elizabeth I is often portrayed as one of England's greatest monarchs, a symbol of strength, intelligence, and stability. Her reign, known as the Elizabethan era, is frequently described as a golden age. But maintaining that power came with consequences. Elizabeth's rule involved harsh crackdowns on dissent, particularly against Catholics, during a time of intense religious conflict. Many were executed or imprisoned as the crown sought to eliminate threats to its authority. In Ireland, her campaigns to suppress rebellion were especially brutal, leading to widespread destruction and suffering. Though history praises her leadership and political skill, it often softens the reality of the methods used to secure her legacy. Power, it seems, rarely comes without sacrifice,
and often that sacrifice is paid by others. History is not as simple as heroes and villains. The figures we celebrate were often complex individuals, capable of both remarkable achievements and devastating actions. Their stories remind us that greatness and darkness can exist side by side. Understanding these truths doesn't erase their impact, but it gives us a clearer, more honest view of the past. Because only by confronting history as it truly was can we learn from it.